สวัสดีค่ะผู้บริหารและบุคลากรทางการศึกษาทุกท่านเราสองคนทีมงานนิทรรศการสื่อการสอนใหม่ Worlddidac เอเชียขอเรียนเชิญคณาจารย์ที่กำลังมองหาสื่อการเรียนการสอนสำหรับสถาบันการศึกษาของท่านเข้าร่วมกิจกรรมออนไลน์ Match and Meet ครั้งที่ 3 ค่ะ
ซึ่งจะจัดขึ้นตรงกับวันที่ 27 พฤษภาคม ตั้งแต่เวลา 9 นาฬิกาถึง 18 นาฬิกาผ่านทาง Zoom Meeting นะคะ โดยกิจกรรมนี้จัดขึ้นเพื่ออำนวยความสะดวกให้กับคณาจารย์และผู้ประกอบการได้พูดคุยอัปเดตเกี่ยวกับเทรนด์การศึกษานั่นเองค่ะ
และเปิดโอกาสให้ผู้ประกอบการได้นำเสนอสื่อการเรียนการสอนใหม่ๆนะคะไม่ว่าจะเป็นสื่อดิจิทัลเพื่อการเรียนการสอนห้องเรียนอัจฉริยะ Smart Classroom สื่อพัฒนาทักษะแสดงศึกษาและวิทยาการคำนวณชุดฝึกอาชีวศึกษาค่ะ
รวมถึงอุปกรณ์ป้องกันการแพร่ระบาดในสถานศึกษาและอื่นๆอีกมากมายโดยอาจารย์สามารถพูดคุยกับผู้ประกอบการไทยและผู้ประกอบการจากต่างประเทศได้โดยตรงผ่านโปรแกรม Zoom Meeting ซึ่งจะทำให้ทุกท่านสะดวกและมีความปลอดภัยเพียงแค่มีมือถือหรือคอมพิวเตอร์และสัญญาณอินเทอร์เน็ตก็สามารถที่จะเข้าร่วมกิจกรรมนี้ได้เลยค่ะ
หากอาจารย์ท่านใดนะคะสนใจเข้าร่วมกิจกรรมนี้หรือต้องการสอบถามข้อมูลเพิ่มเติมสามารถติดต่อได้ทาง LINE @WDDA ค่ะและทางทีมงานนะคะยังสามารถออกจดหมายเรียนเชิญอย่างเป็นทางการเพื่ออำนวยความสะดวกให้กับอาจารย์ได้เข้าร่วมกิจกรรมครั้งนี้กับเราด้วยค่ะ
อย่าลืมนะคะพบกับพวกเรากับกิจกรรมออนไลน์ Match and Meet ครั้งที่ 3 ในวันที่ 27 พฤษภาคมตั้งแต่เวลา 9 นาฬิกาถึง 18 นาฬิกาค่ะ
แล้วพบกันนะคะ
สวัสดีค่ะสวัสดีค่ะพบกับพวกเราทีมงานนิทรรศการสื่อการสอนใหม่อีกเช่นเคยนะคะกับกิจกรรมออนไลน์เวิร์กช็อปอะคาเดมี่สำหรับปีนี้นะคะเรายังมีกิจกรรมดีๆอีกมากมายไม่ว่าจะเป็นทั้งทางด้านวิชาการดิจิทัลเลิร์นนิ่งและเวิร์กช็อปต่างๆโดยวิทยากรผู้ทรงคุณวุฒิจากสถาบันการศึกษาชั้นนำไม่ว่าจะเป็นทั้งในประเทศและต่างประเทศมีทั้งแบบออนไลน์และเจอกันแบบตัวจริงเสียงจริงอีกด้วยค่ะ
หากไม่อยากจะพลาดกิจกรรมดีๆแบบนี้นะคะสามารถรับชมรายละเอียดเพิ่มเติมได้ที่ www.worlddidacasia.com ค่ะหรือที่ Facebook Fanpage นะคะ Worlddidac Asia ค่ะรวมถึงการสมัครสมาชิกนะคะเพื่อเป็นส่วนหนึ่งกับเราค่ะกับ Asia Educator Club นะคะโดยท่านนะคะสามารถสมัครสมาชิกเพื่อเข้าร่วมกิจกรรมดีๆตลอดทั้งปี 2564 ได้นะคะโดยรายละเอียดการสมัครสมาชิกสามารถรับชมได้ระหว่างรายการนะคะโดยจะมีตัววิ่งด้านล่างค่ะ
สำหรับงานนิทรรศการสื่อการสอนใหม่ Worlddidac Asia ปีนี้นะคะจะจัดขึ้นในวันที่ 20-22 ตุลาคมที่ไบเทคบางนาค่ะ
และในวันนี้นะคะวิทยากรผู้ทรงคุณวุฒิของเรานะคะก็จะเข้ามาแวะเวียนให้ความรู้กับทุกท่านนะคะรวมถึงครั้งถัดไปนะคะก็จะมีวิทยากรผู้ทรงคุณวุฒิทั้งจากในประเทศและต่างประเทศค่ะเข้ามาให้ความรู้กับทุกท่านผ่านทางช่องทางของ Worlddidac Asia ค่ะ
ย้ำกันอีกครั้งหนึ่งนะคะรายละเอียดเกี่ยวกับเวิร์กช็อปออนไลน์ทุกท่านสามารถที่จะคลิกเข้าไปดูได้ที่เว็บไซต์ Worlddidac Asia ค่ะ
และในวันนี้นะคะวิทยากรผู้ทรงคุณวุฒิของเราก็พร้อมที่จะมาพบกับทุกท่านแล้วนะคะขอเชิญรับชมรายการของเราและพบกับวิทยากรผู้ทรงคุณวุฒิของเราได้เลยค่ะ
Good morning everyone and welcome to this fairly short teacher per diem webinar around design thinking, innovation and entrepreneurship. Now, my name is Michael Holmstrom. I'm the CEO and co-founder of STEMpunks based in Brisbane, Australia. And I'm going to try to share with you today a bit of an example of how we do STEM education here in Australia, but also overseas. Now, STEMpunks was founded about 5 years ago. We have a very strong mindset around innovation, creativity and entrepreneurship. We feel that STEM education should be a lot more than just coding or robotics or drones. It's all about solving the problems of tomorrow. To give kids a mindset of innovation, creativity, entrepreneurship, and using a lot of different kinds of STEM tools, yes, but ultimately it's about problem solving. Another thing that we're really big on at STEMpunks is the whole thing about linking these programs with industry skills. So we have industry partners all across the world. One example is the International Moon Base in Hawaii, where we're doing simulated Mars and Moon missions and bringing all that skill and knowledge backed into our programs for schools. Now at STEMpunks, we do local programs here in Australia, but we also do a lot of programs with our partner schools all across the world. A lot of work in Asia, but also in the USA. Now, if you want to know more about what we do, I'm going to show you quickly. Go to stempunks.com. We have our student classes here, on-demand classes developed by our professional team of teachers. And it covers anything from primary school classes into secondary school. Are you a teacher? You might want to check out our teacher PDs as well. So teach professional development, a lot around innovation, creativity, coding, robotics and drones, and all linked with micro-credential classes. So if you want to check that out later on, go and check out stempunks.com for some more ideas. Now, a bit of background first. I started my journey back in the day as an engineer. I spent about 15 years of my life in innovation and learning how to transform ideas into value for other people. I've been involved in building amazing global companies, also some horrible companies along the way. And from that, we take a lot of lessons learned. So surrounding me within STEMpunks is an amazing team of great educators. All the programs that we do are developed and delivered by qualified teachers. And that's to make it easy for you guys in the classroom to use all this knowledge and make sure that we don't just entertain the kids, but we also make sure we have really good learning outcomes that are linked with the curriculum, and as I said before, are linked with industry skills. Now, today we're going to talk a bit about design thinking. We're going to go through a bit of a process looking like this. So this is our design thinking process. You get a copy of this if you want to. I'm sure you can reach out to the organizers. We're giving away all the worksheets today for free, so you can use this in the classroom. Now, this process here, it's all about taking the idea and producing an outcome. And this is so important for us because in the world today, there are a lot of different kinds of ideas. Now, I believe we don't need too many more ideas. What we need are people that can transform those ideas into value for other people and become innovative and creative and maybe even entrepreneurial along that journey. Now, today, I'm going to take you through a few steps. We're going to look at a bit of an exercise called the gift giving experience. I'm going to design a bit of a solution with you and talk you through the process of going all the way from the empathy stage all the way into definition, ideation, prototyping, evaluation, and iteration in the end. Now, feel free to ask questions. When I get very excited about these things, I speak extremely fast. So I'm going to try to slow things down a bit today, make sure everyone is with me along this journey. But if you've got any questions, please reach out. Happy to help you guys, either during the seminar or also we have a bit of a Q&A afterwards. So, you ready to start? Let's do this. Okay, so we're going to look at a bit of a journey now. I'm going to take you through our innovation class. We're going to start a bit talking about the entrepreneurial mindset. Now, in my past, I have mentored a lot of different kinds of people. People out of university with amazing qualifications and degrees, great business owners from all walks of life, but they all tend to have one issue here, and that is about transforming that great idea into something of value. And they could be commercializing it, or it could just be creating community value as well. Now, the entrepreneurial mindset that we talk about here, there are a few different traits that make this into something that actually works. The entrepreneurs that I work with that are very successful, they tend to have persistency. They're not really afraid to fail, nor to get rejected, to get through the hoops of entrepreneurship innovation, because entrepreneurship is fairly fast. It's a fast process, and it's a fairly scary process too. So with this program today, if you're a primary school teacher or a high school teacher or university teacher, you can apply the same process, the same exercise to your students. You might want to make it a bit more complicated or more detailed for the more mature students, but the essence of what we're doing today is going to be applicable to any people, any walks of life. Now, why is it so hard to be innovative? I'm sure you've been sitting there at your first job interview and someone said, okay, I want to hire you, but I want to develop all these amazing ideas for my business. I want you to be innovative. Why is it so hard to become innovative? Because it's a fairly hard thing to do. What we've learned by working with amazing people across the globe is that there are two key things. The first thing is the fear of failure. We don't like to fail, right? As human beings, we don't like that at all. We get taught in school that failure is a bad thing. Now, what I've learned is that failure is a key part of the process of learning. If you can overcome the fear of failure, you are along the path of becoming very innovative and extremely entrepreneurial in the end. So fear of failure, try to overcome that. The second thing is the fear of rejection. Now, we don't like to be rejected. Kids in primary school are really easy to work when it comes to innovation because they are not afraid to fail. They don't afraid of rejection either. As we grow older, we might get our first boyfriend or girlfriend. We become extremely, we don't like the thing about rejection, right? The first breakup might be a really hard thing to go through. Now, what has this got to do with innovation and entrepreneurship? Well, it has to do a lot with this process. Take sales, for example. If you are going to become a really good entrepreneur, you have to sell at some point. Rejection is a key part of being a good salesperson. The best salespeople, they get rejected 100 times a day and get that one sale and off they go. And they love it. So fear of failure, fear of rejection, the two key things we've learned that people have to overcome to become really innovative and entrepreneurial. And in all the classes that we do, we pretty much set the kids up to fail. We want them to fail. An example could be we're doing a lot of programs around our drones. See, we've got some 3D printed drones right there. Here's another one right there. And when the kids build these drones, we make them so they are too heavy. They might be asymmetrical when they design these drones deliberately, because at the point of that drone not flying and failing, the students want to learn about the physics of flight and all the intricate maths that makes that drone fly. So we use them as a bit of a bait to get a feeling for failure is okay, because as long as I fail fast, I will succeed at some point. Now, we're now going to talk a bit about design thinking. We are big on this. If you haven't used design thinking before, that's okay. If you've done it before, great. Some of this will sound a little bit familiar to you. So our journey with design thinking starts when it comes to empathizing. Right? We want to empathize with our user, all right? And then we want to try to define the problem. And the important thing here is that as engineers, we tend to want to jump straight to the ideation and prototyping, right? We want to just jump in and start making things and doing things. Now, when it comes to design thinking, any sort of product or service development, understanding your customers first is critical. So understanding the true emotions behind something, the true empathy mapping behind that specific customer audience is so important. So emotions, a critical part to understand. So let's start there first. Excuse me. Now, we're going to go through an example here, which is called the gift-giving experience, all right? And we've picked this experience because it is an experience that everyone has gone through around the world. Everyone you in the room right now or listening to this webinar have had a situation where you had to buy a gift for another person. Now, this might sound a bit weird to start off with, but I will take you through a process of empathizing and rapid prototyping. I will show you how to do 3D designs really fast, and then also going into a 3D world where we can visualize the concept and evaluate what we've done. So quite fast paced, but stay with me now. I'm going to try to break it down into the most fundamental building blocks so you can all follow me through. And as I said, we're picking the gift giving experience here because everyone that is doing these seminars with us can relate to the topic. So what is this? Well, let me put this in the perspective of you. So the scenario is this, right? Your challenge and the scenario is this. I want you guys to pick yourself. I want you guys to buy me a present. By tomorrow morning, I want that present to arrive here in Australia, and I want that present to surprise me, make me extremely happy and emotionally touched as well. Now, if you're buying a present for someone else that you know, that is quite an easy thing to do. But if you're buying this for someone that you don't know, like myself, you haven't even met me before, it's a very hard thing to do. You don't know what I like. You don't know what my interests are. So to surprise me, well, you can't ask me what the present I want because then I won't be surprised. You can't, I guess it's very hard because if you want to then make me happy and emotionally touched by the gift that you're giving me, well, how are you going to make this happen? So the challenge today is not to design a gift. It's to design a tool or a service or a new process where the whole process of buying the gift becomes a lot easier. Are you with me? All right, cool. I'm going to see if I can do this a bit more hands-on and see if we can get on with the next task. Okay, so let's start by empathizing first, right? We're going to start by looking at how can we understand our user a lot better. So if we go back to our design thinking diagram, we're starting right down at the bottom. Number one, with empathizing. So the first step looks something like this. Now, we're going to give you all these slides, so no need to write this down. We can give these to you afterwards. Now, with the know your user, this is so important because this is where I'm looking at, okay, what am I currently thinking about this? Well, as a user buying a present, I want to surprise the person. I want to make sure the user gets emotionally touched by it. If you're ever buying something for your mom or dad or your girlfriend or boyfriend, for example, or parents, whatever it might be, you want to feel, wow, that was a really cool thing. So what I'm thinking is that I want to buy something that is really emotionally of high value, but I'm also thinking, wow, how do I make this happen? Because the challenge is to buy it for a person that I don't know. That's the problem here. What am I feeling? Well, I'm feeling a bit, I might just go to Top Can quickly. I might just feel a bit, all right, so what am I thinking? Okay, I'm feeling a bit afraid. I'm feeling a bit confused. All right, back to our diagram. I'm feeling a bit afraid, a bit confused. What am I feeling about this thing though? All right, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, I think. So overwhelmed by meaning that I've got no idea to do this. If I got 24 hours to buy someone a present I don't even know, that's a really hard thing to do, right? And what am I doing then? Well, I think I'm currently panicking a bit because I'm going, hang on, how do I do this? How do I make this work, right? I've got no idea, right? So it's a very frustrating problem to have. Now, if you can crack this problem with a really good solution and product, you have an amazing product idea and solution because everyone in the world has got the same problem, right? You can make billions out of this thing if you can make this work, right? Then we're going to look at what am I saying then? Well, I'm sitting here by myself, so it's a very lonely conversation currently. I'm saying, oh, what am I saying? I'm frustrated. I'm going, wow, what are we going to do, right? There's a lot of emotions here. I want to buy this person a great present, but I'm currently going, oh, where do I start? I don't know. So let's design now a solution that can help out in making this properly work. Okay, so we've gone through our first process, which is our empathizing. A lot of emotions there. We feel very overwhelmed, afraid about not meeting expectations. We don't know where to start, right? Because remember, we're buying a present for a person we don't know. That person has to be surprised, emotionally overwhelmed, and very, very happy. And you only got 24 hours to do it. You can do this with your students in the classroom. It's quite a fun exercise to do. We then looked at our emotional state by knowing our user. And now look at how can we now define the real problem here, okay? So when it comes to define the problem, we're looking at things like, what is this story, all right? So here it really helps when we do this in the classroom to ask open-ended questions, right? So my story is that, look, my ideal state with this is basically saying that, okay, I know the person, I actually get excited buying gifts because I can then, surprise them. I know exactly what they want because I know them so well and I know they're going to love what I buy. But in this case, my current story is that I'm very lost. I don't know what to do. And I love to have the information. The thing here is information. I don't have the information to make that decision. I'm going to come back why that is so important very soon. Now, we're then going to look at how we're going to define the real problem. So, what is my problem here? Well, in my case, it is that the user, in my case, needs a way to buy a gift because I want to surprise and make the person happy. All right, so visualizing the problem is basically a person going, wow, this is the best gift I ever had. I love this stuff. This is amazing. But the big problem here is information. So there's one thing missing right now. It is the information piece on, I don't know what you want. So let's see if we can take the next step and go into a bit of ideation and start looking, how can we design a solution that will help the user in the end? So we've gone through quite rapidly now. When you do this in the classroom with your students, take your time. This could be 5-6 lessons overall. I'm doing this fairly fast for you guys. If you want access to this online class later on, just reach out. I'm more than happy to give you the content so you can go through this with your class later on. But we're doing this fairly fast today. So we've done the empathy mapping extremely fast, a lot of emotions, a lot of frustration. We've gone through the definition stage. Now we're going into our ideation state, right, which is quite important. Now, with the ideation, we're trying to generate as many crazy ideas as we can. Now, this is very important. When we do these classes in a school, we're trying to mix the students up. Gender diversity, different skill sets, it's extremely important here. Different cultural backgrounds helps a lot to create a mix of amazing ideas and in the end, even more amazing solutions. So in this case, we want to do things like, we want to do ideation with at least 4 ideas. And we tell the students, at least pick one crazy idea here. What are you going to do? Let's see if I can get my little notepad up to do something myself here. So what are my ideas? Now, when it comes to these ideas as well, we say to the students, as long as we can conceptually see the ideas and I guess use a bit of imagination that we can implement these ideas at some point, it is okay. If someone come and said to me, look, Michael, I've got a great idea. I want to use a time machine to make this work. I might go, look, maybe not so much today. We're a little bit early on in terms of time machine development, so I won't accept that solution. But anything around machine learning, artificial intelligence, all those beautiful things, if we can conceptually think that this could happen at some point soon, I'm accepting those ideas because I want the students to go outside the box. I want to think really radically about this. And that's what's so important here too, that we have those 4 boxes down at bottom left saying that give me 4 really cool ideas. And one of them can be extremely crazy if you want to. So if we look at my ideas currently, it's a blank piece of paper. So I got to start somewhere. So I've got 4 ideas I'm going to try to work through now. And since we only got limited time, I might just think, well, I can do this quite quickly. So the first idea might be something around, okay, if I can, I'm going to lock in my idea. I'm going to do something about, how about if I had some sort of survey? All right. So in this case, I'm thinking I can have friends of people. So the people that are surrounding this person I'm buying the gift for, they know the person. I don't know the person, but their friends do. So I might do some sort of online survey thing where I can just ask the friends through social media, for example, quickly, what are these people like? I could design a solution around that. I'm going to go a bit radical now when it comes to my idea. I think the second one that I'm going to lock in is that I'm going to look at how can I create some sort of listening device, right? All right, that just takes all the sound during the year and records it. It's a bit of a recorder. I'll come back to why this is so important. Excuse my handwriting. So the recording device will work something like this. Any married man in the world will relate to me right now. And that is that during the year, you are with your spouse and they might talk to you about what they like and they like this thing over here. And as a man, you might not listen as much as you should do. So in my case, I built this little thing that goes on my glasses right here. And this little device will record everything that gets said to me during the year. So when it comes to their birthday and buying that present, I know exactly what they want because my little device up here will use artificial intelligence, machine learning to train all the data or train on the data to understand what this person wants. And that's a solution I will try to lock in because I think I will benefit dramatically from that solution personally myself and hopefully other people too. So going back to our slide, we talked about our crazy ideas, but all our crazy ideas on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side is our big idea. And in my case, my big idea will be a listening device that goes onto my glasses that will record all the information that these people are telling me during the year. And then when it comes to birthday time or gift giving time, I'm just going to press a button and that little device will tell me exactly what that person has said. But most importantly, crystallize all that information, collate all the information, and then use machine learning to really come up with a great way of producing, I guess not producing, but actually giving me ideas around what the perfect gift would be. All right. Are we with me so far? Hopefully. So the challenge is to buy a gift for someone. Actually, what we're designing is the process, the device, the service that will make that process of buying someone a gift a lot easier. All right. Now, as I said before, we're going through this fairly quickly. So we've gone through the whole empathizing, definition, ideation, and now we're going to look at prototyping. Now, when we do our classes, we do a lot of prototyping with 3D design tools. We do a fair bit of 3D printing as well. And the reason we use a lot of 3D design is because it's easy for the students to learn how to do 3D design. I'll show you some great tools that we can use to make this visualized. And the reason why it's so important to visualize what we do is that with the prototyping, we can talk about things, we can write things down, which is really good in the early stages. Whiteboards, pen and paper is a brilliant tool to use in the first stage of ideation. But then we want to make sure the students can produce an outcome. We want to make sure they can showcase what they're doing. So they'd rather show than tell, right? So with 3D printing, it's fairly cost efficient to do. And if you don't have 3D printers, that's fine. We can still 3D design things and visualize things and model things so we can relate back to what this is all about. And here's some examples when students have done some 3D printing project with us in the past. Here's a bit of a drawer design that someone did. It's all 3D printed, fairly cheap to do this stuff. I showed you the drones before, which is this one here, for example. This is a great little flying drone the students doing about grade 5. And we also got some amazing rocket designs here as well, right? All 3D printed. And the reason why 3D printing is so important too is that the moment someone gets this thing and touch and feel and start using the drawers, for example, in this case, it's much easier to give feedback. Because here's the trick. We want to make sure that we can give feedback to the person designing the outcome. That is so important in this case, all right? Okay, you with me so far? All right, let's start prototyping a little bit, okay? So with our prototyping stage, it's now very, very important that we build fast. We are extremely big fans of a process where we fail fast, we succeed fast, and rapid prototyping is at the core of what this is all about. So I'm going to show you a tool now, which is called Tinkercad. Now, Tinkercad is a CAD tool done by Autodesk. It's a free application. We use it a lot, mainly because it's free, and it's really easy to learn 3D modeling in this package. We use this all the way down to primary school, all the way up into high school, and also into universities, because people haven't used CAD designs or computer-aided design before. It's quite a learning curve to learn that from scratch. With Tinkercad, it's a lot easier. So I've got something here prepared for you. So I'm going to teach you Tinkercad quite quickly now. So Tinkercad is basically an online tool. If you type in Tinkercad in your browser, you'll find it. As I said, you'll get access to this class anyway, so no need to go and do that right now. Just follow me through to get started. So with Tinkercad, we're basically using a 3D work plane looking like this. Anyone who's used any CAD tools before will be very familiar with this. We can rotate this around. If we're getting lost, we can click home and we get automatically back into where we started. Now, Tinkercad works in this most fundamental principle. It's about combining components together. So if we look at some of the designs that we have here, this little design here, this little 3D printer thing that someone made, the student made, I think it was a grade 3 or 4, made this little shell thing. They're just combining different shapes. So they started off with a cube. They then made a smaller piece here, like this one here, and they just subtracted that material from within here to create something else. I'll show you how that looks like inside Tinkercad itself. So back to our screen. With Tinkercad, we can drag in a box here, for example, and we can change the dimension just by holding down the mouse cursor, the left mouse cursor on the little center or edge piece right there. I can also type in. So if I want this thing to be, let's say, 50 millimeters by 50, I can type that in. Off I go. I can also grab the handle on the top and I can make this thing lift it up from the ground plane. And I can also use that little box at the top to make it taller. All right. So that is now a box, a very simple box. Now, as I said to you before, Tinkercad works in the way we combine different components together to make other objects. And we can make some really complex objects in here. The drone that I showed you before, this drone here is made in Tinkercad, right? It's just combining different shapes to make it into a flying drone. So don't get fooled by how this looks like from the point of view. It looks very sort of kindergartenish when you look at this stuff, but it's a very powerful tool to teach 3D design. As I said before, you get into teaching yourself really complex packages like Fusion 360 and SolidWorks, which are great. To get the interest from students, start with this first. It's easy to learn, it's fast to learn, and it's a great rapid prototyping tool. Okay, back into my screen again. So here now, I can grab a cylinder, for example. I can put that cylinder over here. I'm going to make it slightly taller like that, make it a bit more smooth, and put that in the center. Now, this is still two objects. But if I select, I might make this a different color so you can see a difference here. Make that, sorry, escape. I'll make this a different color so you can see the difference. So I'll make that blue instead. So this is still two objects, one cylinder and one box. But if I select both of these like that, they're both now selected, and I go group, they become one, right? That's now one object. So back to my idea. We went through the whole process of empathizing, ideation, prototyping, and I said to you that my crazy idea is something like a device they can set up here and record what people are telling me around me. And by doing that using voice recognition, AI, machine learning, I can then get this little box to record everything they say during the year. And when it comes to birthday buying or gift giving, this little box will know exactly what these people told me, what they like, what their interests are. I know I'm very lazy, but it's going to work well for me. All right, let's see how we can design this thing. So looking at my design then, I'm saying that I'm going to do something like this. And when we do these type of designs, always get students to use pen and paper first. Use the whiteboard, whatever you got, all right? So I'm going to make some sort of glasses looking like this, just to demonstrate the concept. See if my drawing skills up to scratch. You have to excuse my slightly bent figures. It's going to go like that behind my ears. I'm doing that. It's going to be the most comfortable glasses ever. All right. So there are my glasses. Absolutely beautiful. Amazing. I'm then going to design a little box that's sitting right up here. All right. And this is a very rough prototype, so it won't look as beautiful as the final product. That doesn't matter right now, right? This is all about conceptual design. So will this thing look like this in the beginning? Or sorry, in the end? No, but that's okay, right? That's just fine. Here's my little device, just like that, sitting on the side of the glasses. And I've got a little antenna here as well. So I can broadcast stuff down to my phone, for example, like that. This is an old phone. It's a very old phone. On the screen, I can actually see what is happening, and this gets transmission from a little device, just like that. All right. So very rough design, I know, but that's okay. All right. We want this to be very fast paced, and at this point, it's just a crazy idea. So my challenge is this: I want to create this as a 3D design now. I want to take all this stuff here, like my glasses, and I want to build this little box right over here to showcase what this would look like. And in the end, I might even 3D print the things like that and then put them on and see how they look and feel. And this is the most important part. The moment you get something like this, either in the 3D model or 3D design and printed, you can get feedback. And this is the most important thing when it comes to your entrepreneurial journey and teaching your students entrepreneurship. You have to get them to evaluate their concepts extremely fast. And this is why this is so important. It's a lot easier to evaluate a concept where someone can touch and feel and relate to rather than just talking about ideas. And that is exactly what we're taking something crazy like this, and we're then transforming that into our 3D world. All right. So I'm now going to take you through the design of my beautiful glasses and my little device and see how that goes. You with me? Take that as a yes. All right, cool. Go for the screen. Here we go. So I'm going to delete these things, delete, and I'm going to try to make myself a pair of glasses now. So I'm going to make the glasses looking something like, I might make them about 30 by 30. Doesn't have to be to scale at this point. That's my first pair right there, a little bit too thick. As you rotate around and zoom in a bit, you can actually go and click on that little button. It'll zoom in on your object, and then I can rotate this around. So I'm rotating this around. Sorry, a little bit too much. I'm lifting it up. That's my first lens. I'm going to make them a little shady like that, and a little bit darker. That's a good size. And then I'm going to go and duplicate this little thing. Duplicate. And did I duplicate that? What did I do? I went copy. Okay, I'm going to duplicate that one there. All right, so there are my two glasses like that, my little lenses. I'm going to put a little box in between those two. And these glasses will be absolutely amazing, all right? I'm being sarcastic, yes. They will be okay. We can line them up like that. We can cheat a bit by aligning them up like this. And we can do a bit like that. That's not too bad. Will I buy those glasses? Maybe not, but that's okay. That's the first. I'm going to group these guys together, group them. At this point, it's purely conceptual, so it's all good. Then I'm going to put these on, which is going to be for my ears. I'm going to put that on right there. A bit smaller, a bit shorter, and a bit further up like that. I'm going to put these guys over. I might put them a bit further out like that. That's pretty good. All right, that's pretty good. I might just zoom in on this for a while. So fairly rapid prototyping right now. I'm going to go and duplicate these. I'm going to put them over on the other side. Should be here somewhere. Beautiful. Those glasses look absolutely schmeck. Now, if I group these things, I can also go solid here and say multicolor, and they'll preserve the color of my glasses, right? So we've gone from a crazy idea, which was this one here. I've recreated that, and this, sort of. And now I'm going to go and actually create my solution, which will be my little box at the end. So I'm going to go to the side. I'm going to make a little box like that. And as I said, this won't be the most comfortable box or ever made, but that's okay. At this point, it doesn't really matter. We're going to make the radius a little bit smoother, like that. put that up. I might change the color too. I might change that to blue. I'm going to move that in there. Move it down a bit. There we go. And on here, I was going to put my little antenna as well. So I might put a little antenna model like that, size like that. I'll make that black. And we might move that into here and put that up onto there. Okay, back to me quickly. Now, for you guys who are sitting there going, well, this looks very complicated. I don't know how to do this. Trust me, when you start doing this, it's a very simple process and you'll love it in the end. And the most important thing is that when you get your students to this, they probably will learn faster than you. And that's okay, all right? They're used to this 3D modeling stuff. They're used to using iPads and computers. They'll probably learn it faster than you, which is absolutely fine. So with anything like this, don't be afraid. Jump in and try it out and then see how you go. It'll be fun. It's a fun thing to do. Okay, we now have our 3D thing there sitting on the side. Absolutely beautiful. If I say it myself, I might just put I'm going to put a little, hang on, I'm going to move that around. Move it like that. Make the sides a bit smoother. Move it forward a bit. And this will be the whole point with this thing is to make it so it can listen to stuff. So here I'm going to put that up like that. I'm going to move it into that little piece. I might just select this piece and that piece, and you can align things up when you get used to how to do stuff. So I'm going to align that like that, which is absolutely beautiful. That will be my little speaker piece. Not speaker piece, sorry, the little microphone that's going to listen to what's going on. All right, that's my whole concept here. What else should I do? I think that's pretty good. So now what I might do, I might actually group this whole thing, zoom out and group it like that. So that is now one model, right? One piece of model, right? Very, very simple. Cool. So back to me. We're now going to go back and check out our little design here. So we've gone through our empathizing stage. We looked at our definition, what we're currently doing, why we're doing it. We ideated, we're prototyping. And as I said, I picked my crazy idea around this listening device. You can pick whatever idea you've got. And the whole challenge here was to create a process or a product that solves the issue of buying someone a gift that you don't know. With the criteria, they have to be surprised and emotionally overwhelmed, and you have a very limited time to do so. So quite a hard thing to do without the tools. I went and picked the crazy idea. I designed a bit of a pair of glasses here with a little box that sits on here. This box here will collect all the information during the year. As a husband, that will help me tremendously because my wife gives me hints all along the year. And I can then listen to that with this little device. And in the end, it will tell me exactly what she said and come with some amazing ideas of gifts to buy her based on pattern recognition and machine learning. I then went back in and designed my little prototype right in there, the glasses, and this is my prototype design right there. Now, this doesn't have to be perfect, right? At this point, it's more for students to understand how to turn ideas from my paper sketch, from my idea up here, into something of value, something tangible, something we can touch and feel, we can actually create some feedback on. Because that point is so important. Feedback, feedback, feedback to make this work. Okay. Now we're going to look at how can we now take this into a tool and visualize this. At STEMpunks, we use a lot of techniques like this. This is one of our VR headsets. So VR is beautiful as a tool to get kids to walk into a world and see their designs. So rather than looking at a design like this, which is pretty much a 3D design, looking at it in a two-dimensional way, we can then turn this into more of a 3D world. We actually walk in, we can touch the thing, rotate around, and actually put these on if we have VR capability. Now, if you don't have VR, that's fine. You can do things like augmented reality as well. So today I'm going to use this little Merge Cube device right here. This device here allows us to project an object onto here, and as I hold an iPad up, I can rotate this around and I can see what is going on with my 3D model. If you've got nothing of that, that's fine. You can still follow me through and still get value from what we're going to do. So now it's all about evaluation, our last stage, all right? So we've done our beautiful prototyping, quite happy with it, looks pretty snazzy. we're now going to evaluate the idea. And that's why things like VR, 3D modeling is so important, because now as a user, I can see what you're thinking. I can see your idea. I can touch and feel it rather than just listening to you talking about it and actually trying to understand what your idea is all about. So we're going to use a tool called CoSpaces. Now, CoSpaces we use a lot within STEMpunks. It's basically a 3D tool that allows us to create 3D worlds. So in this case here, I'm going to show you quickly what we're going to do. I've got my new screen. This is now CoSpaces. So I've got Tinkercad right here, and this is CoSpaces. In here, I can do things like, I've got a library of stuff. I can add a character if I want. I can put a person on top of here, for example, like that. And I can do, what's going to put a flower on here, put a little flower on there as well, put it right there, make it a bit bigger. Now, CoSpaces is great because what it allows you to do is to very easily model, use 3D modeling tools and iterate and get kids to come in and actually interact with the designs that they have. Now, also with CoSpaces, you can use things like this augmented reality tool, which is our merge cube. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take the design from Tinkercad, put it into CoSpaces, and then project that onto this little cube. And then as I move this cube around in front of my iPad, just like this, I will be able to see my 3D design as it will be right there. It's already 3D printed it. Let's see if we can make that work. So we go back into our screen again. I'm going to go into Tinkercad. I'm going to make sure everything is grouped in here as it is. Perfect. Then we're going to export this out. So export the file out. I'm going to export this as an OBJ. Bang. And then in CoSpaces now, I'm going to take these little guys away. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete that like that. I'm going to go upload. I'm going to go 3D models. I'm going to upload a model. I'm going to go to downloads. I'm going to go upload my model, custom upload, got it, perfect. There it is. I'm going to put my model on top of here. Now, here are now my glasses, right? They're right there. Beautiful. So I've taken my 3D model, put it on top of that cube right there. Now, if you had, for example, VR goggles now like this, you can put them on and you can walk into the world. I can look around, I can touch the thing, I can see it. You could even design in 3D if you had one of these. But if you don't, that's okay. I'm going to launch my iPad now and do a bit of a live demo and see if this works. As with any live demos, it's always really scary because when you're doing live demos, usually things doesn't work. But that's okay. I'm going to see if I can make this work. I'm just going to test this first on here, and then I'll see if I can project this for you. Right, there we go. Perfect. So the way this works is that on this little cube right here is a pattern, right? So if I look at the top cam like that, the cube has different patterns. So the software knows exactly which side I'm showing to the camera. So by doing that, I can go into my tool and I can say, okay, project this on this pattern right here. So as I move this cube around, this design will move around as well. So if I go to my top cam, just like that, I'm going to take my little iPad, I'm going to click play. It will then try to find the cube, and there it is, and there are my glasses. All right, so as I move these around, just like that, you can see there are my glasses right in front of me. I can go in and check out my little device. That's a device that I built before. I can check out the antenna, for example, how it looks like, and check out my glasses. So now I can really get feedback here. Probably get some people who actually wear glasses going, look, this is not going to be very comfortable. That's fine, right? So get that feedback and change the design. So this is a great example of quite low-cost augmented reality, which is very, very powerful to do. We can also do things like going back into a screen again. If you don't have the AI capability, you can just click play in here. We can then see the designs. I can rotate around here. I can check out my design as well. As I said, I can also use techniques like virtual reality to make this work as well. Okay, that was a lot. That was a lot. So basically what we've done today is that I've taken you through the design thinking process. I've done a very quick introduction to 3D design tools and a very quick introduction to augmented reality and touched a bit on 3D design and virtual reality as well. You can expand on this as much as you want. The final thing that I might go and cover is that when we do this with our students, and this is predominantly in upper primary, but also into secondary school, we get the kids at the end, once they design their amazing solution, we want them to create a business plan. We want them to try to articulate how would you sell this thing, what is your market, etc., etc. So part of your class set here, when you do this with the students, is how to create a business plan, right? So we start off with the first thing. It's about trying to articulate what is the idea. And you can use this too as a bit of a pitch deck. We do a lot of pitches here where we have the students design their solutions. This is a whole day program. They learn about design thinking, entrepreneurial thinking, some STEM tools around 3D design or coding, whatever you want. And then we get them in the end to do a presentation. We're going to present their solution and talk about their ideas, how they're going to market this thing, how they're going to sell this thing. So what I'm showing you now is pretty much the basics of a good pitch deck. First of all, tell me, what is your idea? What are you trying to solve here? What's the problem, right? Does it really have a problem? Because if we start designing solutions and products and stuff to things that don't have a problem, it's pretty worthless, right? So we got to try to articulate what is this problem we're trying to solve. And who are our customers then, right? What age group are they? What gender are they? Location are they? Interests are they? So trying to segment our market here is very, very important. Students will learn about customer behavior. Are we marketing this to kids, to adults, to older people? What is the demographic here? Is it female, male? Depending on what demographic is like, the marketing approach will become extremely different. That's very important to learn as a student now, especially if you're going to go and try to become entrepreneurial down the track. And how will you market your idea, right? What is the marketing thing here? Now, the beautiful thing about living in the world that we are is that there are some amazing marketing channels we can use that are very cost efficient. Social media, for example, is brilliant as a marketing tool. And we teach the students how to use those social media skills in their endeavors and their entrepreneurial journeys. How will you price your product, right? What is the price point here? Some products can be extremely expensive because they're based on high value. If we're selling things like pencil sharpeners, it's quite a hard thing to put a high value on them because they're very much a commodity. So what is the price point here? And in the end, we get the kids to produce a whole business template. This is the whole business plan they can fill in. And in the end, they pretty much have a pitch deck, which we then can pitch to an audience, right? We teach them also about the art of selling the idea, which is very much about creating really good stories around your product. Because today we created a bit of a setup around a pair of glasses like this one here that we're going to use as a gift-giving tool or process or a product. The most important thing is to create the marketing material around that. So we also teach the kids around digital storytelling, how to use things like video and green screens, and just having the confidence to stand up and say, look, this is my idea. This is what I think this should do. And this is the value. Are you with me or not? So a lot around those softer skills around critical thinking, collaboration, but also a lot of things around being confident in terms of speaking and getting your ideas to come across. Now, that pretty much wraps up everything we've done today. As I said to you before, we're more than happy to give you access to our classes. The class structure I've shown you today, we pretty much have gone through exactly what we would go through anyway in a normal classroom. So the class structure we've done today is pretty much following this lesson plan right here. More than happy to share this with you. Just reach out. We can share the link. You can get access to this to use this in the classroom if you want to. As I said, it's an exercise that you can expand and make it as big or small as you want to. It's a fun exercise. It gets kids involved and they start using these beautiful STEM tools to solve problems with. With CodeSpaces 2 and also with ThinkCAD, you can add the coding component to it. We're not going to do that today because we're running out of time. But if you want to make this complex or more complex down the track, there is a coding component you can add to these classes as well. And the design thinking process I've shown you today, which is this one here, we're sending out the whole process so you can use that as well. All of these things we've gone through today in terms of empathizing, defining problems, prototyping, designing a solution, all these things we give away for free, and you can use that as well as much as you want in the classroom. Now, that's the end of my talk. I'm hoping I get some help now for some questions. I hope that what I said today makes some sense. I hope I didn't spoke too fast in terms of taking you through this journey today around entrepreneurship, innovation, and creativity. But as I said, reach out, more than happy to help you guys. We do a lot of work with schools all across Asia. We're also looking for some new partner schools around Thailand as well. So if you're keen to come on board as a partner school, please let us know. We'd love to work with you guys in the long term. Okay, that's pretty much me. I'd love to see if you got any questions. If not, I'm happy to finish there, but pretty much now I think it's question time. Any questions out there? Have I done a really good job or a very bad one? I'm going with the first one because someone said, great presentation and well done putting it together. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. The challenge here is that trying to make it interesting for you guys and really get you guys to start using this in the classroom. A question, when you do the empathize phase, do you ask students to observe users in the field? If students can see what the problem is, it is easy to understand users' needs. Yes, very much so. We do another exercise around how can you improve the process of buying a coffee. And we deliberately grab the students and we take them down to the local cafe and we buy some coffees and we sit back and we watch people buying coffees. And it's amazing to watch because the process of currently how you line up and how you buy your coffee, it's quite a tedious process. So yes, by observing, it's a very powerful tool. We love to take students out in the real environment and observe what they do. And when we work with our larger industry partners around the world, we also get them to, students to get into seeing what they do in their industries firsthand, and then we create a problem-based learning scenario around that specific setting. So yes, very good question. Any more questions? Any more brave people out there? Yes. Do you have your own website that shows the design thinking process? I'd like to see the other activities. Yeah, so if you go to stempunks.com, you will find all our classes there. We're more than happy to share with you links to download all the PDFs. And also, if you want access to the actual class, which is the one I went through today, there's a bit more information in here than we covered today because of the timing. But I'm more than happy to give you access to this full class if you want to. It's normally about $79, but I'm happy to give that away for free today to get you guys a bit of introduction to what we do and to use it. So reach out afterwards and we will definitely get in touch with you guys with all that information. Any more questions? Good questions coming in. Well done, guys. Okay, what programs do you use to design and are they free? Okay, cool. So today we covered a few tools. We covered, first of all, if I can go back to my screen, we covered a tool called Tinkercad. So this tool here, it is 100% free. All right, 100% free. CoSpaces, which is this 3D modeling tool that we also can use with augmented reality, it is not free. You can get a trial code. So once again, if you want to try it out, we can give you a trial code for it. When we do these classes, we're trying to be very careful of which tools we're using, mainly based on cost. So even though CoSpaces have a cost attached to it, it is not a massive cost, right? You might need 20, 30 licenses to get started, and it's a fairly cost-efficient tool to use for your students. So Tinkercad, free. CoSpaces is not free, but not very costly to use. Any more questions? Good questions, guys. I'm impressed. Well done. Okay, 3D prints are expensive. Where can you get one for best price? Definitely interested in buying one, but not sure where to get one for best price. Thanks so much for the information, getting so much from this. Beautiful. Okay, so we will probably do a whole session around 3D printers, and we might come back to you and do, if you want more of this stuff, happy to do a class around 3D printing. We're doing one next week, actually, so happy to do one around that topic. But the question around 3D printers are expensive. So yes and no. 3D printers can be very expensive if you buy the wrong ones. So we see schools buying printers for like, 5,000 Australian dollars or more, and that's a very expensive machine. The things I've shown you, like I've shown you this design here today. I've shown you a drone design like this one here. I even got another one here that I'll show you from the top cam. This is a head of Mr. Einstein himself. That's very, very fine detail if you look at that. It's very, very fine detail, right? These prints that I'm showing you today, they were all done on a printer that cost 500 Australian dollars. Now in Australia, that's fairly cost efficient. So about $400 or $500 printer. We use the FlashForge Finder printers. We're not sponsored by FlashForge, not at all. We've got no financial incentive all about telling you which printers to use. But what I'm trying to say is that 3D printing can be expensive, but if you pick the right printers, it's fairly inexpensive to do. Now, with the printers that we use, we can only print 140 by 140. So fairly small prints, right? But when you do student classes, you don't need big prints. You don't need to print in ABS and all these exotic materials. All this stuff here is PLA, right? That's the most cheapest way of doing it with. This is biodegradable plastic, So for schools and students, PLA printers, the Flashboard Finder is amazing. It's about $400 or $500. We use them for about 4 years now, and they are brilliant. But if you want more 3D printer courses, happy to supply more of this stuff to you to go through the whole 3D printing process. That was a very long answer to a very short question. I hope that made sense. Any more questions? Oh, okay. The augmented cube, right? Good question. So what is the augmented cubic? Where can I buy? Okay, so the one I showed you was this one here. This one here. It's called a merge cube. It's a spongy one, so you can actually spit like a stress ball like that. So the merge cube you can buy, it's fairly available. If you want to buy it from us, you can go to store.stempunks.com and buy it from there. They're fairly inexpensive and they're very robust. You know, we got a lot of these around, and they're built for the classroom, right? They're soft, so students can throw those things around if they want to, and they're very safe to use, and they always work. So if you've got iPads, for example, this merge cube is absolutely brilliant. So if you want to buy it from us, store.stempunks.com. Otherwise, they're pretty readily available all across the world. We got these in stock, so if you want them, just let me know. Okay, you are working on prototype real fast. Great. Okay, that's a really good point. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that. So the comment was you're working on prototyping really fast. And that's really important here because the program we did today, it went extremely fast because we had very limited time. But prototyping has to be fast. And this is what we learned over the years of doing this both with kids and adults. When you start overthinking stuff, you start doing things at too much detail, that's for later on. What you want to do is produce an outcome like something like this or that extremely fast, and then ask your users, what do you think about this? Because too many people spend too much time perfecting their ideas without knowing if their ideas are good or bad. All right, so prototyping fast, brilliant, we love it. Perfect answer, thanks so much. Brilliant, did I write that? I definitely would like a class about 3D printing. Thanks for all of your help. Great, look, we want to do a lot more work with you guys, especially around Thailand. We've got some great classes and partner schools all across the world, but Thailand would like to get a lot more classes in there. So if you guys are keen, we are more than happy to do more classes with you. We do a lot around coding, robotics, 3D printing, introduction to coding as well. We do a lot around the BBC microbit. So if you want to learn more, reach out. More than happy to help you guys out. Okay, last question maybe. How to encourage early STEM education for young children? Thank you in advance for your advice. Okay, so with young kids, we do classes all the way down from year level 1 up to university students. Now, early in the piece is a lot about play, right? We love kids to learn how to play, but we also like them to understand this. We do design thinking classes with grade 1 students. And the reason we do that is because when you do design thinking very early on, it becomes a behavior. So rather than just being a poster on the wall that no one understands how to use, it becomes a behavior that they then take with them into later years, into their adult life, and in the end, they become very innovative. For the early years 1 to 3, we do a lot of cardboard design. A lot of engineering with cardboard is great, but also using CoSpaces, even Tinkercad. We do Tinkercad from about grade 3. It is a great tool and kids can use it, trust me. You give them that tablet and tell them design this thing, they will design it. So early years, very play-based, a lot of fun to do it. And those kids are so innovative. They're not afraid, right? They love doing this stuff. So play-based, there's some great tools how to do a lot of STEM with the early years as well. Okay, last question. How can you export the 3D model to VR? Okay, last question. How can you export the 3D model to VR goggle? Okay, cool. So the way it works with this is that you will launch the CoSpaces app in here. So what I showed you before, I went into CoSpaces like this, and here now I'm pressing play, right? And that's on my computer. So of course my computer only has 2 dimensions, so I can only see it in 2D. But if you pressed play inside here, all right, so you're running the app on here, you press play, you will walk into that 3D world. So you have to run the app on your Google, in this case, this is an Oculus Quest, right? And that's how you get that 3D model into your world. Okay, once again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I hope you learned something today. We'd like to do a lot more with you guys, so reach out and tell us what you want. I hope to see you guys soon.